Thank you so much for tuning into our Ask the Candidates series. Today I have here Peter Rothwell from the Liberal Democrats. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Laura. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Now I'll get straight into it. So the first question for you is, can you please describe your vision for the future of our electorate?
Yeah, for sure. And I'd say it's not only for the electorate, but the whole of Australia. I think we have definitely drifted away from some of our core values, and I suppose I am from the centre right of politics, and those core values surround the individual freedoms and responsibilities, and small government, lower taxes, and my vision for the electorate and Australia as a whole is for the government to step back somewhat and let individuals do what they do best and innovate. And I'd say I might go back into history a little bit, if I may, and someone who I've got a lot of time for, and in a very famous speech said there can be no national progress except through the efforts of the individual, that life should be free and horizons wide. And that was Sir Robert Menzies in 1946, and I couldn't agree more.
Thank you for sharing. And so what key housing issues does your policy specifically address?
Yeah, and this is a big one, all through the electorate. This is what I've been hearing about, housing shortages, both to own and to rent. And I listened with great interest to the coalition government, the Labor and Greens, talking about how they'll fix it. And all of their policies surround tipping more money and creating more demand into the housing market. It's a very easy way to look at it. Are we going to fix a housing shortage by giving everyone $100,000 to spend on housing? No, you're going to make it worse. You make it slightly worse by giving a small proportion $100,000, but the principle is still the same. You're not going to fix housing shortages by creating more demand. The only way to fix that shortage is to increase supply. And the good news is that costs nothing from a government perspective. And now I know a lot of these things will get away from federal politics and get into state and local government level, but the red and green tape surrounding housing is getting insane. We never hear red tape getting wound back. It is always increased on, and I'm not sure where it's ever going to end. And now you fall into a situation where you'll have small-time developers, like mum and dad investors and stuff, wanting to do small developments, and they just can't. They get just hindered by all this red and green tape. The rules keep changing. It ends up costing them a fortune, and that locks them out of the market in supplying housing, because then only a few of the big boys and girls in town can afford to have someone on staff that just looks after red and green tape. And that's, not a free market. The best thing we can do to increase housing supply is open the market up.
Thank you for sharing your insights on that. And next, what professional experience in history qualifies you to hold a paid position of national influence?
Yeah, this is one of those awkward questions for me, because I hate talking myself up. But for those who don't know, I'm a farmer and a business owner. I'd say farming is very unique. It has a lot of similarities to a lot of other small business owners and challenges, but there are a lot more challenges on top of that. You have to learn to be very self-reliant when you're 100 k's away from any help. You learn to make do, and we're at the whim of Mother Nature, which also throws another challenge in there. I'd say I'm a very open and deep thinking individual, and I think those qualities make me perfect for federal government.
Thank you. And what specific benchmarks will you use to determine that your time in office was successful?
That would definitely be an internal one. I think we all know when we stray off our own internal moral compass, and I definitely am a man of principle, and if I can go into this arena and leave with a happy heart, then I've achieved my goals.
Thank you. And finally, our electorate deserves to know how you will show moral leadership. Describe how you will approach a conscience vote by balancing your electorate's voice, your personal values, and also your party's values.
Yep, no, it's a great question. We've seen in the not too distant past, some independents in electorates going against their electorates and forming government with a government that, would not normally ally with the Conservative side of government. And look, again, this harks back a bit to my previous answer that I'm a man of principle, and I try to be, I am very open and will tackle any question anyone throws at me. And I think that's really important, that the voters can see who I am, what makes me tick, my values and principles. And if they're the ones that then elect me, I have to be true to those values and principles.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today, Pete. And we look forward to seeing the outcome.
Thanks, Laura. Cheers.
Thank you.